Hello students, let us now continue with directory implementation. Okay, so you know what directory is? Directory is nothing but where you store the files. That is, directory has all the information related to the files that are stored under it. Okay, so we can implement directory using two ways. One is linear list and the other one is hash table. So as the name says, linear list. So linear list is a list of file names, okay, with pointers to the data blocks. You know that a disk is divided into blocks and the file is also broken into blocks and stored on the disk. So linear list consists of file names with pointer to each of the data blocks. It is simple to program, yeah, and it is time consuming to execute, because suppose you want to add a new entry into the directory, definitely it's a linear list, so you should start searching the list in a linear fashion, that is starting from the first block and then go to the second block, third block, thereafter. So you go according to a sequential manner. So it is time consuming to create a new entry, to add a new entry, to delete a new entry, because all these operations should happen in a linear fashion. To overcome the problems of linear list, we can introduce hash table. So hash table also has a linear list with pointers to each of the data blocks, but then we have a hashing function here. See, for example, you have a list, okay, yeah, and each of the files are that is, the files are stored in each of the blocks. Okay, so if I have to search a particular file, then what will I do using a hash function? I'll take the name of the file and perform a hash function of it. So you know that each file is also identified by a unique number, right, which is recognized by operating system. So consider this as a file name or a file number. So we perform a hash function on this. This will result in a number, right? So this will be stored in a table called as hash table. This is also a table, so this will be stored in a table called as hash table, and this hash table will consist of pointers to this linear list. For example, we have a file by name f, we perform a hash function on this file, it will result in a value, right? And we go to that particular entry. Okay, this entry will have a pointer to a particular entry in the linear list. So searching becomes even more easier. You don't have to start right from the beginning. Using a hash function, you can go to the appropriate block and then try searching for that particular file using hash function. So it increases the or it gives us an easy search. Okay, so we don't have to waste time in searching the file in the directory. So it decreases the search time. And one problem is with respect to collision. Sometimes it can so happen is, if you have two files and when you perform a hash function on it, it may result in the same value, and this is called a collision. So it resulting in a same value. So this is called as collision. Situations where two file names hash to the same location. So this solution to collision is using linear probing, or there is a method called as chained overflow hash table that can be used to avoid collisions. Okay, but hash table is more effective than linear list, because we apply hash function which decreases the search time for a particular file. Okay, so moving to the next topic, the next topic is allocation methods, which is very, very important. Every time the same question is asked in all the VTU papers. Okay, so allocation method is nothing but a method that refers to how disk blocks are allocated for files. You know that the files are to be stored in the form of blocks. The disk is divided into numerous blocks, and the file is stored in each of these blocks. Okay, so how we allocate the disk blocks to the files is through these three techniques. That is, the first one is contiguous allocation, the second one is linked allocation, and the third one is indexed allocation. Let us know the explanation for each of the allocation methods. Okay, yeah. Coming to contiguous allocation method, I will first show you using the schematic diagram. Okay, so contiguous means continuous. Okay, so here consider this is a disk drive and you have blocks here. As you can see, there are square cells, right? So these are blocks. Okay, so in the directory you have the names of each of the files, and along with the name you have the start and the length. For example, let's say there is a file by name count which starts at location 0. Since it is contiguous or continuous blocks, so we mention the starting address and the length. That is, if you start at 0, then definitely 0 and 1 will be the length, that is 2, right? Okay. Similarly, TR begins at location 14, and if it says 3, then definitely it is 14, 15 and 16, because it is continuous. You don't have to mention the ending address, because since it is contiguous, you just have to mention the start and the length. That is, you can go counting from the start that how many contiguous blocks are provided for that particular file. This is contiguous allocation. So we have mail here. Look at mail. So mail starts at 19, and then we have 6 contiguous blocks. So this is 19th is 1, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so we have 6 continuous blocks. So this is the meaning of contiguous allocation. Let us now see the advantages and disadvantages of contiguous allocation. So as it says, each file occupies a continuous set of blocks on the disk. It is simple to implement because you just need to know the starting location and then the length of the blocks that are required. Access is easy. Both direct access has sequential access. Sequential access is even more easier because the blocks are placed in a continuous fashion. So sequential access is very easy. Even direct access is also very easy. Since you know the starting address, suppose let's say the starting address is S, and then you want to access ith block, then just give the number of the ith block, then you can directly reach that particular block. That is based on the starting address and the ith block, you can directly go to that particular block. So both sequential as well as direct access is easier in contiguous allocation. And the disadvantages of contiguous allocation is there is a wasteful of space. Since this is contiguous, right? See, for example, I start with a file from this position, and then it just needs to have 2 blocks. So 2 blocks are occupied, okay? And then it is consider this block is empty. This block is empty, and again you start some other file from this particular block. So it occupies 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3 continuously they are sitting here. And what about this block and this block? They are waste of space, right? Okay, so if at all you have a file which consists of 2 blocks, then you can give. But what if you have none of the files which requires 2 blocks? Then this will go waste, right? This will go wasted. So this is one disadvantages. And files cannot grow. Suppose the size of the files increase, obviously the file size will increase, right? You keep adding to it sometimes. So let's say there is a file F. Say initially it had only 2, it occupied only 2 blocks. Later on, let's say it needs totally 5 blocks, but then you have 2 blocks here, extra 2 blocks, so you can occupy only 2 extra blocks. What about the 5th block? It can't be occupied because the 5th block is occupied by some other files. So files that grow in nature cannot use contiguous allocation. So that is one drawback of contiguous allocation. Okay. Yeah. Let us now move on to the next allocation, which is linked allocation. To overcome the disadvantages of contiguous allocation, which is waste of memory space. Okay, so we have linked allocation here. So here each file is linked list of disk blocks. That is, in the previous one you saw that the blocks were sequential in manner, right? So here we will overcome that disadvantage by allowing blocks to be scattered anywhere on the disk. Let me show you the schematic representation of it, so that will be even more clearer to you. Okay, so this is a disk drive. Okay, and we have numerous blocks over here, and in the directory information we'll have the name of the file and the starting address and the ending block address. Okay, so since the starting address is 9 here, so let us assume that the file starts sitting at the 9th block, and then this block will have 2 things. Okay, so one is a pointer to the next block and then the information of that particular block. Okay, so 9th has a pointer to 13th this block, okay, and then this 16th block has a pointer to the first block has a pointer to the second block, and the second block has pointer to the 25th block. Okay, so this is what is contained in linked allocation. That is, each of the block contains a pointer to the next block. So as you can see, the blocks are scattered all over. Okay, so there is no wastage of memory here because you're not allotting blocks in a continuous manner. It is scattered all over, right? So this is not a wastage of memory. Okay, so we will see the disadvantages and the advantages in this particular allocation method. Okay, see, as I said, each block has a pointer which points to the next block, and this part is the place that is required to store the information of the file, okay, or the contents of the file. Clear? Okay, so what are the advantages of this particular linked allocation? This is also simple to implement because it just needs the starting address and the ending address. There is free space management. There is no waste of space because the blocks are scattered here. They are not continuous, so there is no wastage of space here. But there is a disadvantage here. So this is suitable for sequential because when you start with a particular block, you go according to the sequential manner only. That is, block by block you try to access it because each block points to the other block, right? So sequential access is fine over here, but with respect to direct access, it is not, because direct access is not possible here because the blocks are not sequential in manner. So you have to go according to the sequence in order to access any particular block. So direct access is not possible in linked allocation. And there is one disadvantage here because in each of the blocks you'll be storing pointer information, that is pointer to the next block. So there is an extra consumption of space in each of the blocks. Apart from it, this is better than contiguous allocation because there is no wastage of space. Okay. So coming to the third allocation, which is best compared to the previous two, which is contiguous and the linked allocation, because there is a concept called as index. So rather than keeping pointers information in each of the block, we will allocate only one block which will keep information of all the other blocks. Okay, and this block is called as index blocks. That is, all the pointer information is kept in one single block called as index block. For example, this is a block, okay, and the block contains pointer information to each of the other blocks. Only one single block will have pointer information to each of the blocks. So I'll show you the schematic representation. Look at this, guys. So this is an example of indexed allocation. As you can see, we have one block which is called as index block, okay, and this index block, which is the 19th block, has information of all other blocks wherein the information of files are kept, okay, that is 9, 16, 1, 10, 25. So all these are pointers to each of the blocks. 19th is pointing to 1, 19 is pointing to 10, 9, 16, 25. So there is only one block which contains pointers to all the other blocks. So you have only one information here, which is index block, which is 19. And if you go to the 19 block, it will contain the pointers to the other blocks. So this is more better than the previous two. Okay, so let us see the advantages and disadvantages. You need only one block which contains the index, which is called as index block, which contains pointers to all other blocks. And random access, in random access, both sequential as well as direct access, you can go directly to a particular block because there is no pointers or linked pointers to each and every block. So in one particular index block itself, you have pointers to any particular block. So you can directly jump to any particular block. Okay. Now coming to external fragmentation, guys. Okay, so external fragmentation is nothing but, let's say you have 5 blocks needed for a particular file, and then you have 6 blocks in the disk, but they are not continuous. You need 5 which can be stored in 6 blocks, but then these 6 are not contiguous in nature. That is, these 5 set are not contiguous in nature. 6 are just scattered here and there, but you need contiguous allocation, but it is not present. So this is called as external fragmentation. So dynamic axis without external fragmentation here is, since there is no concept of contiguity or contiguous allocation here, so we don't have external fragmentation. We don't have external fragmentation in linked allocation nor in index allocation, but we have external fragmentation in the previous one, which is contiguous allocation. Okay, so I hope you know the concept of external fragmentation, which was taught in module 3. Say you have 5 required continuous blocks, okay, but there are 6 scattered disk blocks, so which is more than the requirement, but these 6 are not in contiguous fashion. So if they are not in contiguous fashion, then there is no point in having blocks which are more than the requirement. So this is called as external fragmentation. You are not able to satisfy or keep these 5 blocks in a sequential manner. This is called as external fragmentation. So there is no external fragmentation in indexed allocation and the previous one, which is linked list allocation, but you have this in contiguous allocation. Coming to the next topic, this is with respect to free space management. You know that there will be some disk blocks which are going to be free, or sometimes when you delete a file, the disk blocks that were occupied by those files will also be freed, right? So we want to know how these disk blocks will be managed by operating system. So there are 4 ways to manage the free blocks. Okay, one is using bit vector, which is very simple to implement. See here you have n blocks over here from 0 to n minus 1, and you just represent it by 2 binary symbols. One is 1 and one is 0. So if at all you have a sequence like this, 0 1 1 0, that means block number 0, if at all it has 1, which means block 0 is free. If at all it is 0, which means block 1 is occupied. So 1 indicates that that particular block is free, and 0 indicates that that particular block is occupied. So this is very simple to implement, because just with one single representation you get to know if a block is free or not. Okay. Okay, so the second one is through linked list. Okay, so linked list, as you all know, linked list is nothing but each of the blocks will have pointers to the next block, right? So, but you won't get contiguous space that easily. Okay, so there is no chance of, there is very little chance of getting contiguous space easily, and there is no waste of space here. I'll just show you an example over here with a schematic representation. Look at this, guys. You already know how linked list appears. So we have an initial block which is called a head block. Okay, so you have a special space in the memory which contains the address of this head block, and then from later on this head block will contain the pointer to the third block. This third block will contain pointer to fourth block, fifth block, eighth block, ninth block, 10th block. So this is what. Okay, so this is free block here. So the second free block points to the third free block, third free block points to fourth, and thereafter the sequence goes on. Okay, so there is no wastage of space here, and there are few chances of getting contiguous allocation. Okay. Okay, going to the third one, which is grouping. So in grouping, just like the linked list, you will have one block, and this block will hold all the addresses. Suppose you have n free blocks, guys. Okay, but so this block, so I'm talking about grouping. So this block will hold the n minus 1 addresses of all the free blocks. Okay, so grouping is nothing but you collectively group all the free blocks, and then this first block, okay, will hold all the addresses, that is the n minus 1 addresses of the free blocks, that is grouping. Coming to counting, in counting it is the same implementation of linked list. There is an additional thing here which is count. Okay, So as you saw in linked list, each of the blocks will have a pointer to the next block. So along with the pointers to each of the blocks, you will have one extra variable that is kept, which is a count variable. So in this count variable, you will know how many free blocks are there in sequential manner. That is, how many free contiguous blocks are there in that particular linked list. Because see here, this linked list cannot get contiguous place easily, right? So in counting, which we can modify this linked list by adding one extra variable called as count. So this count will keep the number of contiguous free blocks that are available. So if at all a file wants contiguous free blocks, then it can refer to the count value and then decide whether it is suitable to allocate that file to these many contiguous blocks or not. I hope this concept are clear to you guys. So in this particular video, the very important concept that is frequently asked in the exam is allocation method. So it is very easy, and then you need to explain it using just with 3 diagrams each. So I hope you have understood. Any doubts you have, then please get it clarified. Thank you.